If you have ever lived in a Lagos compound where 20 families share one toilet and the smell of different soup mixes together like a confused orchestra, you will understand that the real battle is not fighting for space on the two-burner stove or waiting 3 hours to fetch water from the single tap. It is protecting your cooking pots from neighbors who believe that what belongs to one person belongs to everybody is a constitutional law. There lives Kemi Adebayo, a young woman who learned this lesson the hard way in compound 208 at Ojuelegba. If you've never experienced compound life in Lagos, you are missing one of the world's greatest reality shows. Except nobody gets voted off the island. They just get louder. At 208 Ojuelegba, 300 people cramped in a building that was designed for 50 people, 4 toilets that have seen more drama than Nollywood, 3 bedrooms where you pray to God that the person before you wasn't purging, and 1 kitchen that doubles as a battlefield, a therapy session venue, and occasionally a place where food gets cooked. In the morning, the compound comes alive like a marketplace that never learned how to whisper. By 3 a.m., you will hear the sound of plastic buckets hitting concrete as the water queue begins, because if you're not awake by then, you might as well plan to drink garri with your saliva for the rest of the day. Kemi had mastered this early morning ritual like a professional athlete, while other people struggled to remember their own names at that ungodly hour. She would glide through the darkness with her yellow buckets, claim her spot in the line, and engage in the mandatory small talks that keeps the compound peace. Sister Kemi, you are awake early today, oh, Mama Dolapo commented inevitably, as if waking up as early as 3 a.m. is some kind of achievement, rather than a necessary survival. You know how it is now, Kemi replied, the standard compound response that means absolutely nothing but keeps everyone happy. Compound 208 was more entertaining than any Netflix series. First, there is Mama Ife, a 70-year-old woman who had turned gossip into an art form. She sat at the compound entrance every day, selling ogogoro in recycled plastic bottles and single sticks of cigarettes. But her real business was information trading. This woman knew who was sleeping with who hadn't paid rent, who was planning to move out, and who had been secretly eating meat while claiming they were too broke to afford it. My daughter, she told Kemi, in this compound, the person who knows everyone's secrets is the person who survives. Brother Dayo was the compound's answer to Lagos playboy. He changed girlfriends like people change underwears, and somehow convinced each one she was the special one. His room was like a revolving door, and the rest of the compound turned, guessing which girl will show up next into a weekly betting pool. The man had a game, but his game was more like Russian roulette. Eventually, something was going to explode. Then, Papa and Mama Dolapo, whose marriage was the compound's daily entertainment, these two fought with the passion of people auditioning for a dramatic movie, complete with sound effects, prop, throwing, and passionate declarations. Their 5 children turned their parents' battles into a sporting event, complete with cheerleading. Go Papa, they chanted when their father's voice dominated the shouting match. Go Mama, when their mother landed heavy punches on their father. The neighbors had learned to predict the weather based on the intensity of the Dolapo's morning fights. Light arguments meant it would be a peaceful day. Pot banging, door slamming meant everyone should mind their business and avoid eye contact. And there was Femi. He was a walking contradiction, wrapped in delusion and decorated with fake golds that looked like Poseidon's tridents. Golds that looked like they were actually designed to anchor ship rather than accessorize human. He claimed to be an upcoming artist, though the only place his music was upcoming was in his imagination. Every afternoon, he would drag his ancient music box outside, connect it to a generation that sounded like a dying elephant, and play mixtapes of songs he swore were about to blow up. His chains, those chains were thick enough to secure a bicycle and shiny enough to blind a low-flying aircraft. He wore them with the confidence of someone who truly believed they were made of real gold, despite the fact that they left green marks on his necks and occasionally rusted in the rain. You see, Femi would announce to anyone within earshot, "Success now when you get the right equipment. Look at my chains now, pure gold from Italy." Italy. The man claimed his chains were from Italy when everyone knew he bought them from spare parts markets in Alaba for 200 naira. In the chaos of the compound life, Kemi carved out something beautiful. She was, without exaggeration, the jollof rice goddess of motion. Her signature rice was so good that people would trek from Victoria Island just to taste it. We are talking about rice so perfect, each grain seemed individually blessed by the ancestor of good cooking. The secret, Kemi always said, was in the love. But those who watched her cook knew the real secret was in the technique, the precise timing, the careful layering of flavors, the way she could tell by smell alone when the rice had reached the perfect level of doneness. Cooking is not just about throwing things in a pot, she would explain to anyone interested enough to listen. You have to understand the ingredients, respect the process, and never rush perfection. But here is the thing about Kemi. She was determined to upgrade her cooking equipment. For 8 whole months, this girl lived like a monk who had taken a vow of poverty. While the rest complained about Lagos hardship, Kemi was actively adding to her own suffering in the pursuit of a dream. She ate garri and groundnuts for breakfast, skipped lunch entirely, and made dinner from leftovers. When others took down for buses, Kemi walked, sometimes trekking for over 2 hours under the Lagos sun just to save money. Her slippers had holes in them, her clothes were faded from overwashing, and she looked like someone who needed financial assistance rather than someone saving for expensive cooking equipment. "Kemi, what is this now? Why are you suffering like this? Look at yourself," Mama Ife asked. "Life is not that serious, my dear. Just wait and see, Mama," Kemi replied. People thought she was losing her mind. "Who starves herself for cooking pots?" they often asked. But Kemi had a vision. She had seen the professional grade aluminum pots at Alaba market, gleaming perfectly crafted vessels that conducted heat like they were designed by cooking scientists. The complete set would cost 500,000 naira, more money than most of them saw in a year. But Kemi was determined. Every morning, she would count her savings, hidden in a small tin under her mattress. Every evening, she calculated how much closer she was to her goal. She turned saving money into a full-time spiritual discipline. The morning Kemi finally had enough money, she woke up before even the earliest water queue pioneers. By the time the rest were stumbling around looking for their buckets, she was already dressed and ready to go shopping. She took 3 different buses to reach Alaba market, each one bringing her closer to her dream. When she finally stood before the pot seller's store, examining the gleaming aluminum cookware, she looked like someone about to purchase crown jewels. "Sister, these pots are not joke," the seller warned, perhaps thinking she was just browsing. "These are professional grade equipment." "I know," Kemi replied quietly, counting out her money. "That's exactly what I want." When she returned to the compound that evening, carrying her purchase in their original packaging, the entire building came to a standstill. Words spread faster than bad news, and soon everyone was gathered around to witness the unveiling. The large pots were magnificent, big enough to cook jollof rice for 300 people, with walls thick enough to distribute heat evenly. The medium pot was perfect for stews and soup, while the smallest one was ideal for delicate dishes like pepper soup. Each pot gleamed like a mirror, reflecting their amazed faces. "Ah, Kemi don hammer." But Adayo whistled momentarily, distracted from whatever girl he was courting that week. These pots looked like they belonged to a 5-star hotel. Even Papa Dolapo paused in his evening arguments with his wife to come and admire the cookwares. "Now, this is how you invest in your future," he announced to his children, who were more interested in the shiny reflection than the financial lesson. Femi stopped his music to examine the pot. His chair is catching the lights as he bent down over like a jeweler appraising diamonds. Sister, these points no be small oh. You go make serious money with these ones. But it was Mama Ife who gave the most prophetic comments. My daughter, guard these pots well. In this compound, anything that shines too much will attract the wrong kind of attention. Every morning, it became a ritual for Kemi. After fetching water, she would wash her precious pots with the care of someone handling sacred artifacts. She used a special sponge, not the rough ones used for scrubbing stubborn stains, but a gentle one specifically for aluminium. She applied just the right amount of dish soap, scrubbed in circular motion, and rinsed with clean water until every surface sparkled. Then came the drying process. Kemi would arrange her pots under the morning sun, where they would catch the light and reflect like mirrors. The sight was honestly breathtaking, gleaming aluminum pots that looked more like art installations than cooking equipment. The compound children stopped their games to stare at their own reflections in the polished surfaces. Adults paused their morning routines to admire the display. That girl treats those pots like they were made of diamonds. Mami Fair commented to her cigarette customers, but maybe that's why her food tastes like it was prepared in heaven. The pots transformed Kemi's cooking business. They even hit distribution meant her jollof rice was perfect every time. The food stayed warm longer, looked more appealing, and somehow even tasted better. Word spread through Lagos' efficient gossip network, and soon she had customers calling to place orders days in advance. Sister Kemi jollof rice is not just food. One satisfied customer told her friends, it's an experience. But success, as they say, comes with its own problems. It started small, the way most disasters do. Kemi washed her pots and set them out to dry, only to find them slightly repositioned when she returned. At first, she thought it was the wind, or maybe the compound children had been playing nearby. Maybe I just don't remember exactly where I put them, she told herself, because the alternative was too disturbing to consider. Then, one afternoon, her small pepper soup pot disappeared completely. She had washed it after preparing a special order and placed it in its usual spot. The panic that shot through her was immediate and intense. These weren't just cooking pots. They represented 8 months of sacrifice. Every naira carefully saved, every meal skipped, every kilometer walked under the blazing sun. She searched everywhere, behind the kitchen, near the water taps, in the toilets, because you never know what desperation might drive someone to, even in the trash area. Nothing. Excuse me, she started asking, trying to keep her voice calm and polite. Has anyone seen my small aluminium pot? The shiny one. Head shakes all over. No, we haven't seen any pots, came the universal response, delivered with the kind of innocent expressions that made you wonder if everyone had been practicing in front of a mirror. Brother Dio looked genuinely sympathetic. Sister, you check everywhere already. Maybe someone just borrowed it for an emergency. But who would now? At least ask. Kemi replied. As she said it, she knew the answer. In compound 208, asking permission was considered more of a suggestion than a requirement. Maybe na rat carry am go, Femi suggested with a laugh, his chains jingling as he gestured dramatically. You know how Lagos rats are ambitious these days. Just as the sun was setting and Kemi was preparing to accept that her pot was gone forever, she found it sitting innocently behind the kitchen, half hidden by a pile of old newspapers. The relief that flooded through her was so intense, she almost cried. Strange, she muttered, but she was grateful that she had seen her pots. She should have paid attention to that first warning sign. Over the next few weeks, Kemi's pots developed what can only be described as wanderlust. They would disappear for a few hours, then reappear in unexpected locations. The small pots vanished during lunchtime. The medium pot with a leftover jollof rice got missing together with the rice and reappeared overnight. Even her precious large pot disappeared for half a day, sending Kemi into a state of near hysteria that had the entire compound searching. Each time she asked around, and each time the response was the same: blank stares, concerned expressions, and absolutely no useful information. "Sister, maybe you should keep your pots inside your room," suggested Papa Dolapo during one of his rare peaceful moments, "but they need to air dry properly. And besides, my room is too small." "What about getting a chain?" Brother Dayo offered. "Chain them together like bicycles." The suggestions were well-meaning but ridiculous. Kemi needed her pots accessible for cooking, and she shouldn't have to turn her cookwares into prison equipment just to prevent theft. But it was Mama Ife who provided the most insightful observation. "My daughter, some people in this compound, they don't get shame at all. They will take your property, use it, then return it like they're doing you a favor. But who would do such a thing now? Who?" Mama Ife asked. "Sometimes the person that is shouting thief loudest is the thief." The comment left Kemi shattered. She started paying attention to people's reactions when she discussed her missing pots. Most residents looked genuinely concerned and sympathetic, but a few seemed uncomfortable and would immediately change the subject, avoiding eye contact immediately. And one person seemed particularly interested in studying their fingernails whenever the topic came up. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday afternoon when Kemi was returning from the market with ingredients for a large order. As she approached the compound, she caught a familiar aroma wafting through the air, the distinctive smell of her signature jollof rice spice blend. But she hadn't been cooking. Her pots were supposedly drying in their usual spots after the morning wash. Following the aroma like a detective following a trail, she crept towards the back of the compound, where old tires and discarded furniture created a hidden area that most residents avoided. Through a gap between the stacked cement blocks, she saw something that made her heart race. Her medium pot sat on a small kerosene stove, steam rising from its contents. The smell was unmistakable: jollof rice, prepared with her exact size combination, the secret blend she had spent years perfecting. Someone wasn't just stealing her pots, they were stealing her recipes, copying her techniques, and stealing her ingredients too. But who? From her hiding position, she couldn't see the chef. All she could observe was her own pot being used to cook food with her own spice blend. A violation so personal it felt like someone was wearing her clothes and claiming to be her. She crept closer, trying to get a better view without revealing herself. This wasn't some amateur, someone who had stumbled on her pot. This was someone who had been watching her, learning from her, systematically stealing not just her equipment but her knowledge and her skill. The realization made her angry in a way she had never experienced before. Stealing her pots was bad enough, but stealing her techniques, her recipes, her years of hard work and practice, that was theft on completely different level. The next week, Kemi became a compound spy. She varied her daily routine, watched from different vantage points, and slowly began to piece together the pattern of the pot thief. The thefts happened at specific times when certain residents were supposedly elsewhere. The pots were always returned cleaner than they had been taken. And most tellingly, the hidden cook area was only active when a particular person was supposedly out looking for work or visiting friends. Mama Ife joined in the thief hunt and began dropping even more pointed hints. Some people cook at night when decent people are asleep, but smoke cannot hide forever. Some people, they use other people's property like it's their own father that bought it. Some people, she concluded, they can't help but show off the things they stole because deep down, they want people to know and see them as smart. The last comments made Kemi think about behavioral changes in the compound. Who had been acting differently lately? Who had suddenly started cooking elaborate meals after previously surviving on bread and water? Who had been more confident, more boastful, more eager to talk about their cooking skills? Femi. Of course it was Femi. He was always positioned directly across from where she dried her pots. He had a perfect view of her routine, knew exactly when she left them unattended, knew exactly how she cooked her jollof rice. But the most damning of all were his recent boasts about culinary skills. "You know I have culinary talent," he announced the previous week. "Music, cooking, entertainment, I am multi-talented." Me ever shown interest in cooking beyond opening a nylon of bread and boiling instant noodles? "Soon, I will start my own food business to support my music career," he continued. "You know good equipment now, that's the secret to good food." Food business? With what skill? With what equipment? With what ingredients? The pieces of the puzzle clicked together. With sickening clarity, Kemi had been stealing her pots, using them to cook food with her spices, using her culinary success to impress his rotating roster of girlfriends. The man who claimed his chains were pure gold from Italy was stealing aluminium pots from a hardworking woman and calling it entrepreneurship. But Kemi needed proof. Accusations without evidence would just create compound drama without solving anything. She needed to catch him in the act. Kemi designed her trap with precision. She prepared a small portion of rice using a very specific spice combination she had never used before. A blend that included a rare spice her aunt had sent from Ibadan and a spice that can make one purge. The aroma was distinctive and memorable, impossible to replicate by accident. After cooking, she purposely discarded the food in a nylon bag and threw it away. She washed the pot thoroughly, making sure to leave a container of the unique spice blend close to the aluminium pot. Then, she placed the pot in its usual drying spot, locked the door like she was going out, and retreated to a position where she could observe without being seen. At exactly 10:30 a.m., when most residents were at work or school, Kemi emerged from his room. He looked around carefully, scanning for witnesses, like a criminal planning a haste. Satisfied that coast was clear, he walked casually towards the drying area. Kemi held her breath, watching as he examined her pot, running his finger along the inside and the surface, bringing it to his nose. Even from her hiding position, she could see him nod in satisfaction. He checked for leftover spices, literally sealing the essence of her cooking. He stretched his arm through her window and stole most of her cooking ingredients. Kemi started recording on her phone. He picked up the pots and the unique spice blend, carried it toward the back of the compound, moving with the confidence of someone who had done this many times before. Kemi waited 15 minutes, then crept after him. She positioned herself where she could record clearly into the hidden cooking area, and what she witnessed made her blood boil. Kemi was cooking rice in her pot, and the aroma filling the air was exactly the same unique spice combination she had prepared the night before. But the worst was yet to come. As Kemi watched in growing outrage, a young woman approached the hidden cooking area. She recognized her as one of Brother Dayo's former girlfriends who had apparently transferred her affection to Kemi. "Baby, the rice never ready?" the girl asked sweetly. "Almost, my love," Kemi replied, stirring the rice with practiced confidence. "You know I cook the best jollof rice in Lagos now. It's my family special recipe that my grandmother taught me." Kemi nearly choked on her own spit. Family recipe, grandmother. This one was claiming her carefully developed spice blend as some sort of ancestral inheritance. "We shall see," Kemi muttered to herself. The girl tasted the rice and her eyes widened with appreciation. "Ah, this one is sweeter than the previous one. Even sweeter than the one Kemi girl cooks now. Ah, baby, you can cook. Oh, you're even better than Kemi." If Kemi had been angry before, she was now experiencing a level of rage that probably registered on systemic equipment. "You see," Kemi continued, "cooking is a talent. Some people can learn it, but real cooking is a talent that I am born with. They born me with this talent. Well, born with it." The man who had been living on bread and water for 2 years was claiming to have been born with cooking talent, that he was demonstrating with stolen equipment and stolen ingredients. Kemi watched as Femi dished the food into his local pot, and his girlfriend carried it into his room. Kemi waited patiently for her plan to set properly. At around 7 p.m., when the compound was bubbling busy and Mama Dolapo had started the evening fight with her husband, Femi rushed out of his room with his hand cupping his anus and running like he couldn't hold it. Everyone stared at him in shock as he ran into the toilet. Few minutes later, he was acting like nothing happened. Then his girlfriend ran past him, gasping loudly, and everyone around covered not just their nose but ran because the odor smelled like a septic tank had been opened. Just then, Femi let out an even louder gasp and ran to the first toilet, but someone else was in there. He ran to the second toilet, same thing, till he got to the fourth toilet and his girlfriend was in there, purging and gasping loudly and screaming, "Femi, what did you put in this rice?" Femi replied frantically, "It was just the normal spice I used to steal from Kemi now, nothing else." Everyone in the compound gave a loud shout. What followed was the most entertaining compound trial in the history of organized residential drama. Word spread through the building faster than gossip at a wedding, and soon residents who hadn't been seen in months emerged to witness the proceeding. Brother Dayo screamed, "Femi, so you're the one who has been stealing Kemi's pots." At that moment, Femi knew he had been caught in 4D. As everyone gathered around him, he had no choice but to swallow his pride. "I'm sorry, Kemi. I stole the pot of jollof rice once, and I couldn't resist the taste. Then I graduated to stealing your spice and watching you cook, so I can take your ingredients and cook when you're not around. I don't know what happened to today's own." No, Mama Ife laughed. 99 days for the thief and 1 day for the owner. You were boasting you had culinary skills, but it's in toilet that it landed you, Abi? Kemi laughed hysterically. "Well, I found out it was you who stole my pots, but what hurts the most is that you were stealing my ingredients too. You could have politely asked for food, and you know I would have given you. I personally prepared this spice blend that is making you purge to expose your wickedness publicly. Let this be a warning to everyone in this compound who believes that taking another person's property is your constitutional right without telling the rightful owner." The landlord arrived when he was informed of the commotion going on in his property. He gave Femi 1 week to pack out. His girlfriend finally came out of the toilet and he hurriedly ran in. He gave Femi and his girlfriend a herbal medicine to stop the purge. This taught everyone in 208 Ojuelegba Mushin a very bitter lesson: to stay off people's properties. Femi packed his 2 nylon bags of clothes and his spoiled music box out shamefully, and Brother Dayo laughed at his former girlfriend to stupor. The lessons in this story are so clear. Don't take what does not belong to you without telling the owners. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so by now. Like, share, comment till I bring you another interesting African story. God bless you.